And now, Israel, what does the Lord thy God require of thee, but to fear the Lord thy God, to walk in all his ways, to love him, and to serve the Lord thy God with all thy heart and with all thy soul, to keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes, which I command thee this day. Check this out. For thy good. For thy good. That is Deuteronomy chapter 10, verses 12 to 13. And I just wanted to talk about the simplicity of the requirements of God. What does God require of us? Oftentimes, I believe we get caught up in religion, right? Religion, it's a bunch of do this, don't do that. It's the do's and don'ts of religion. And when Jesus walked the earth, they had piled up so many things to God's law and attached it to God's law in the name of serving God. And oftentimes, I think, like I said, we complicate what God requires of us. And this is in Deuteronomy. This is the Old Testament. This is Moses leading, the children of Israel out of Egypt and leading them to the promised land. And he was trying to get Egypt out of them at this point. And so God gives the law. He reveals himself to the people of Israel. And in this revelation, we find out his will for humanity. Israel got the first taste of God. They got to see what the God of the universe required. Is he some demanding dictator? What does he want with us? What does he require of us? And this is what God is telling them. And he says, and now, Israel, what does the Lord thy God require of thee? What do I want y'all to do? And watch how simple this is. Fear the Lord thy God. That's to have a reverence. That's to have an honor. That's to have a respect for God, right? And it's actually the beginning of wisdom is the fear of the Lord. You can't even start to be wise if you don't respect God and put him in his proper place as King, as Lord, right? He says, but to fear me, to walk in my ways, to love me, to serve me with all your heart and with all your soul. What does it mean to walk in his ways? That has to do with our everyday lives. To walk has to do with the constant, daily activities. What are we doing? Are we walking? Are we imitating God? Are we walking in his ways? Are we looking like God in the way we live our lives? Because he wants us to. We are his creation, right? He's creator, we're creation. We are, the replicas of God, if you will, as far as we've been made in his image. It's like he duplicated a bunch of himself in the earth. For what purpose? For himself to be all around the earth. And so are you walking in his ways, right? And it says to love him and to serve the Lord your God with all thy heart, with all thy soul, not half-hearted, devotion. And I like how he says to love him and then to serve him. Why? Because our service to God comes out of our love for God. It should come out of our love for God. We don't want to just blindly, serve anyone if we don't have a love for what we're doing. Love should be the motivation for service. If not, you're not going to stick to whatever service it is. I'm not going to sign up to go to the military and go through the grueling, difficult, gut-wrenching activities that are involved with military service if I don't have an ounce of passion to serve my country. You can ask any guy or girl that went into the military. If they continued, I'm going to sign up for 4 more years. I'm going to sign up for 4 more years. That shows they have some type of passion. That shows they have some type of passion that's keeping them there, and they're choosing to stay away from family. They're choosing to put relationships on the back burner for the love of their country. It's the same with God. We can't serve him fully from our hearts if we don't have that love for him first. And we can't love him if we don't know him, right? And so that has to do with fearing God, right? We're introduced to him, we fear him, we revere him and respect him, and magnify his name, and out of that should flow everything else. We'll walk in his ways if we fear him. We'll love him if we're walking in his ways, and we'll serve him at the end of all of that. And at the end of our lives, we'll hear that, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." So I just wanted to talk about the simplicity of the requirements of God. And this was for Israel, but it goes for us too. He just wants us to walk in his ways, to serve him and love him, and honor him as the God who he is, right? It's your boy Nurain, man. It's that simple.